Welcome to the Dragon's Library, your source for games, movies, shows, and more. Hello everybody! Welcome back to the Dragon's Library. I finally finished Metroid Dread. Yay! It only took me like 2 weeks. Sorry about that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. And I have a soft spot for Metroid games, so judge my review as you will. Okay, so for once, a Nintendo game actually needs some explaining. Because although Metroid is a very popular series, and a lot of people probably recognize a lot of characters from this, most of you only really know Samus Aran because she's in Smash Brothers. So let's talk about Metroid. Just the franchise in general before we get into the nitty-gritty of the review. Metroid is a very influential genre franchise that Nintendo started up back in the Nintendo Entertainment System days, the NES. So, originally, the Metroid games were about exploring... You basically play as the bounty hunter Samus Aran. Again, most of you probably know her from Smash Brothers. And she goes to hostile alien worlds, usually losing all her power-ups at the beginning of every mission, because obviously you had to lose all your powers at the beginning of her game. It's kind of a running joke now. And she's stranded in an alien world, slowly unlocking new abilities, and by finding ancient relics within that place, exploring and defeating the space pirates and/or evil X-Parasites, Metroids, or even this new game, which has some prizes, so I won't spoil that right now, but yeah. She has to beat some big bosses. She gains movement abilities, such as the, larger jumps, stuff like that while aiding her in combat, also unlock new areas. And that's the big thing Metroid always gave to the rest of gaming. See, Metroid is one of two games that helped to spawn an entire genre of games. It's called Metroidvania, and it was created as a result of both Metroid and Castlevania. So, the Metroid games are side-scrollers, a lot like the original Castlevania games, and you basically, well, not side-scrollers per se, it's a 2D exploration game where you slowly unlock areas. Samus has a basic blaster, you get upgrades for it, like blasting through walls, and while also aiding you in combat, they also allow you to open up new areas, like blowing up explosive that was hidden behind that wall, so that it detonates, opening it up. Stuff like that. Basically, the idea behind the game is, when you're getting new tools for combat, those tools should also aid you in your traversing the environment and improving your mobility. So every upgrade you get is supposed to aid you in multiple different ways. They're not like just, hey, I can do 10% more damage now. It's, oh look, the blasts actually explode outward, dealing more damage, but also blasting other things in the area so I don't have to be as precise with my shots. Stuff like that. And Nintendo kind of made a few Metroid games. Most of them were either on the SNES, NES, or Game Boy. But back when I was a kid, they released Metroid Prime. And Metroid Prime is widely considered one of the best games ever made. It basically took Metroid's exploration style, slowly opening the world, and turned it into 3D. Which was mind-blowing at the time. Like, the Metroid Prime 2 Echoes are amazing games. If any of you can get a hold of a GameCube in the games, I definitely recommend you play them. Even just try and emulate them or something like that. They're a lot of fun. Some of my favorite games of all time. However, after a terrible sequel on the Wii, which I didn't play with motion controls, which were fun at the time, but I didn't want to try and play a shooter with motion controls. That's just, unless the rail shooter, just no. Metroid kind of went dormant. Nintendo released a few DS games that were multiplayer, and they were just terrible. And they just kind of stopped making Metroid games for half a decade, except for those, again, horrible spin-offs that were multiplayer games, and were, again, terrible. But, a few years ago, they released a remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus as Metroid Samus Returns. And it was basically a new version of the 2D game, but with 3D graphics and a new kind of style to it. For example, they added this ability to parry attacks, which actually kind of made the game a lot more interesting. I like it. I've only played Metroid Dread, but I did very much enjoy the parry mechanic in this. It's smooth, intuitive, and it has a few extra features that add into it. Which, yeah, some people might be like, isn't this basically a quick time event? Yes, but it's seamlessly integrated into gameplay, and to the point where I've considered it to be actually an integral part of the game. Like, you will be handicapping yourself if you're not using this parry. The game is heavily based around it, so I do advise getting good with it if you guys are gonna, play the game. And after that, it kind of went dormant again. And Nintendo, for all that they love sticking Samus into Smash Brothers, they really just don't seem to want to make Metroid games. Or at least the traditional Metroid games, anyway. And again, I don't really know what's going on over there, but she has been missed. Well, now she's back with this new game, Metroid Dread. It's another 2D continuation. For those of you who are going to try and correct me on my statements earlier, yes, I know there was another game on the Wii, and I think we all know that we don't talk about that game on the Wii because that other game was horrible and we all want to scour it from existence. Both the Wii games were bad, but the second one that other Wii game was just... Metroid Other M, one of the worst games ever made. 0 stars. Boo. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to mope about the Wii era. But anyway, Metroid Dread is actually the latest game in the Metroid timeline, which is really interesting, because the Metroid timeline has a weird habit of bouncing all over the place. And... Gosh, how am I... Alright, so I'm going to try and focus on most of the gameplay right now, not really talk for the plot that much. I'm going to save the plot for my spoiler section. Even my general overview of it, because I can't really tell you any details at all about the plot without explaining the plot of Metroid overall. So, if for some reason you want to go into the Metroid games completely blind to plot, when gameplay is pretty much a big deal for them, I'd say you don't really need to worry about being spoiled for this stuff. This game does have a few interesting twists, but, if you're a big, I don't want to know anything, I want to get into the franchise completely blind, hey, the original game, Super Metroid, and I think Metroid and Super Metroid are on the Switch's online, old console games. They have all their older games on their Nintendo Switch Online thing. So if you want to try them out, just go try them out. You probably have a Switch subscription if you have a Switch. So, and come back after you go read up on Metroid or play the old games or whatever. Okay? But that's for the spoiler later. You can come back, when you're good with that. For now, let's just focus on the gameplay. No spoilers right now. No spoilers. Okay, so the gameplay of Metroid Dread is basically just a new Metroid game. You have the usual power-ups. You can turn into your Morph Ball. You can drop power bombs. You get your charge shot. You get your triple shot. You get your Ice Blast. Although the Ice Blast is a missile this time, which is kind of nice. You get your grapple beam, all that fun stuff. The levels are really well designed. All the areas are really good, fun and interesting. They're really interesting to explore and figure out. There were some very fun puzzles using the powers, especially the dash power. It was a little finicky at times. You had to get it exact, but it was very interesting. Most of the boss encounters are kind of nice. They do kind of copy-paste this one boss as, like, a mini-boss, like, 2 times. So there's this one, like, bird warrior. I'm not going to explain. I know it's a Chozo. We're getting to the plot later. And you fight it at first, and then you fight a corrupted form, and then you fight 2 other versions of it So you fight 1 robot version, then you fight 2 robot versions, then you fight those robot versions in different numbers multiple times, then you fight a regular version, then you fight a corrupted regular version, then you fight that corrupted regular version again and again and again. And that's just, like, there were a lot of encounters like that. I didn't really enjoy those encounters that much. Once I got their pattern down, it was just kind of boring and, like, what am I going to do here? It's probably the only sin I have on it. It's like there was too many of the robot warrior and the regular warrior, corrupted warrior fights, and I just didn't think they were interesting after the first encounter. I get there were supposed to be more mini-bosses than bosses. All the bosses have really fun, really fun designs. I really liked the lava boss that was feeding on the heat. That was pretty cool. And especially the way it, like, froze an entire level once, I got a certain power up, the level I had to go back to froze over and it completely changed how I navigated it, which was really cool, especially since I now had a new mobility option. I did feel like it was tunneling me forward in some cases, because it froze over so many doors that I didn't even have to wonder where I was going. But that's not really it depends on, like, what you want. Some people want it more, exploring, trying to find where you gotta go. Other people are like, oh, they're giving me a clear path. Let's go. But I think if you're playing Metroid, you should have a bit more exploration. You shouldn't have, like, tunnel vision used so much during those segments. That's just my personal opinion. Some of the bosses were really fun. I liked how you got the invisibility power from that weird scorpion thing. You got to see Kraid again. He's a recurring boss. I think he was a clone this time. You also got the Jorduga, this giant jellyfish thing underwater. The underwater fight was really cool because the movement options were different. You have these regular mini-bosses with these like central units that you have to defeat. And then the most interesting gameplay mechanic, okay, is something that's introduced really early on. And basically, as a part of the plot, you were sent here by the Galactic Federation where they sent these robots ahead of time, but they've all been corrupted. And they attack you on site and hunt you through certain areas of the level. They're in certain facilities, which are very clearly labeled, and when you enter, you're in their hunting territory. If they find you, they'll try and kill you, take a sample, and you'll die. I really have to praise the design of these enemies. I really like the enemies. I know some people don't like them. I think they're good. I think they're really good game design. So the enemy force you to really rethink how you're acting in their areas. You had to be moving quickly. You had to learn the area. I feel like I knew more about the areas where the enemies were. Like I understood that map better than I did most of the rest of the map. I didn't have to check my map as often as I was in there because you have to keep moving quickly and you have to learn that area or the enemy's going to find you. It's going to kill you. Plus, one of the cool things is they have a pre-animated cutscene for the enemy when it kills you. However, to make sure you still pay attention instead of zoning out, they actually have it set up where there's sort of a quick time event. There's a parry signal, both in its first grab and when it goes in for the kill. Now, these are very hard to pull off. I couldn't get them completely. I could only get the grab semi-regularly, and I only got the final kill. Like, I only parried that final kill by accident once or twice. Your assistant AI even tells you that they're going to be really hard and you shouldn't rely on being able to parry them. But it felt like I was actually able to fight my way out of situations, and that even once I got caught, it wasn't the end until they actually stabbed me. So I felt like I was more involved all the way to the end of the chase sequence, which was something I really want to praise to this. I really do like this. I think it was a good idea. Plus, they don't give you like a regular button prompt. They just give you the normal parry flash, which, you know, is a bit more subtle than having a button up here, which I hate doing. I hate seeing that quick time events a lot of times. I just feel like, you know, why are we doing this? If you're going to interrupt the cutscene anyway, can't you just do a cutscene? But the whole thing is pretty seamless. You parry it away, and then you can slide under and run away, because you're still trying to run away from these things. They're basically invincible. However, when you defeat the mini-boss in the area, the Central Intelligence Unit, you get to absorb its energy, and you get your cannon upgraded to the Omega Cannon. It has a rapid fire, which you use to destroy the plating, covering its face. Then you hold down for a charge shot, and you gotta blast its head off. However, in order to do that, you have to fire the rapid fire mode for a while. So you have to lead it into the right area so you can have a long way for it to come at you while you blast in its face. It slows down while you're firing at it. And then once its face is destroyed, you have to run away again, move back a little bit, and try and charge up a final shot. And I gotta admit, some of the enemy encounters, when you finally face them down after getting the Omega Cannon, were really interesting and fun. The final one in particular was really challenging and required you to use the entire little course you were in order to get in just the right position. Took me a few tries. It was really challenging, and I felt like I was figuring out the environment and figuring out the best places to lure it to. The Central Intelligence Units are just a generic mini-boss. There's not really anything offensively bad about them. They weren't really boring because there were only 7 of them, and they were spaced out enough throughout the game, whereas a lot of the bird enemy I talked about kind of piled up near the end, so they were back to back to back to back. I think that helped them. Not really much else to say about that. I really like the enemy, though. I think the chase sequences were fun. They had a lot of tension to certain areas. And even just traveling the world felt like a challenge when you had to pass through there and, you know, chased by the enemy. So, praise to Nintendo's designers for that. Really like it. A lot of fun. So, yeah. Final boss was really challenging. Like, not super challenging. Not Dark Souls level or anything like that. It took me like 4 or 5 tries to get it. You know, I didn't even get 100%. I just grabbed, like, 40, 50% or something like that. Grabbed, you know, what I needed. I had like, maybe around half of my energy bars. Went in there with 150 missiles and was just like, alright, let's take this guy out. You know, you don't need to be fully upgraded. I'm probably gonna go back and 100% the game just because I feel like it. I'm insane, though, so don't don't judge your opinion. Don't judge your desire to 100% this game based on me. I 100%ed a lot of things that I really shouldn't. Actually, when I was in college, I 100%ed Darksiders 2. And although I did enjoy the end game, I regret that till the end of my days. So, don't follow my insanity, kids. Unless you are insane like me, in which case, welcome. I'm glad to meet fellow souls that are insane. It's always nice to see them. So yeah. All in all, I think this is a pretty good Metroid game. I haven't played a lot of the 2D Metroids. I have played Super Metroid. I played the original Metroid, and I've played this. The ones I mostly played were the two Metroid Prime games, and I played a little bit of the third one at a friend's house. And I've seen Other M and looked at that and was like, nope, do not want to play this ever. So, you know what? As a Metroid game, I'd have to say it's really, really good. Maybe some of the other people have played more than I have and are like, the game with the X-Parasite was way better. Well, yeah. But, yeah. I'm going to go and give this a 9 out of 10. It might be a little high, but I think it's a very well-polished game, so that's what I do well. It really brings that Metroid exploration to height. And, quite frankly, I've been starved from Metroid content for like half a decade, so, sorry if I'm being a little overgenerous. But I think it was really good. I might even rate this a 9.5 or a 10, if on some of my better days, actually. So, yeah. Somewhere between a 9 to a 10. So, now that we have that out of the way, I'm going to talk about the plot. Plot alert. Plot alert. If you wish to remain spoiler-free, you should leave. Or, leave, play the game, and come back. Please come back. I want you to download this. But, yeah. So, everybody gone who doesn't want spoilers? Okay. So, we can finally get into talking about the main plot. The story starts out with Samus... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a little background because people don't know Metroid. I know everyone wants me to get straight into the story. Okay. In Metroid, Samus Aran was an orphan who had her entire human colony, it's space, humans are colonizing stuff now, destroyed by space pirates. Yes, space pirates, led by a guy who's a dragon named Ridley. You know him from Smash Ultimate. So, Samus was adopted by these bird aliens called the Chozo. They injected her with Chozo DNA and made her and trained her to be a warrior. Eventually, she went off to be a bounty hunter for the Galactic Federation, and while she was gone, the Chozo that she was raised by were killed by space pirates, or at least the colony she was living on with them. Samus went around destroying the Metroids, which were these strange life forms that were believed to have been biologically engineered. They absorbed the life force of anything they latched onto. But it was later revealed, plot twist, in the previous game chronologically to this one, that the Metroids were actually created by the Chozo as a failed predator to try and keep a dangerous new parasite in check. The X-Parasite. The X is basically a parasitic organism that looks like a giant cell, if we're painting gummy bear colors. And it latches on to living and mechanical things, completely consumes them, and mimics their appearance while adding other traits and stuff like that. It's basically a Grey Goose scenario, but it's basically a virus that consumes other things, mimics them, and then uses it to spread its own existence. So, horrifying on an existential level. The Metroids were keeping them in check on the planet they were on, though. So when Samus killed them all, they got loose. They got on a space station, stuff went down, Samus got injected with Metroid DNA, so she became kind of part Metroid, which made her immune to the X. She destroyed it all, and the galaxy was saved. Except, a few weeks ago, the Federation got unconfirmed footage from this strange planet. And it's footage of an X-Parasite. Of course, since anyone else who goes down there will be immediately consumed, they send these Emmy robots they've specifically designed to prevent the X from taking them over, and then after they've been sent down and haven't called back, everybody's like, alright, we need to send somebody down there, better send the lady who's immune. So Samus gets sent on a mission to go to the planet and, find out if the X are around, and if they are, deal with them. So, it's kind of funny too, because, you can tell Samus is, genuinely invested in these parasites never spreading again, because her computer tries to talk her out of it the entire way there. She's like, this really isn't worth the price. We should probably be doing other work, which would be way better for, our budget. It's like, and Samus is like, nope, 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 nope. Kill these things, kill these things, kill these things. To be fair, the X-Parasite caused her a lot of pain in that last game. So, yeah. She gets down there, though, and finds that this planet seems to have been colonized by the Chozo. This is where the timeline gets a little fuzzy, because it's complicated. You get some revelations at the end. But regardless, there's this strange Chozo warrior who appears as Samus gets, into the first level, attacks her, and then she just kind of blacks out. She doesn't remember what happened. She wakes up, she thinks she fought him, tried to fight him, got her ass kicked, and got knocked, and managed to escape, but fell deep into the planet. In addition to that, she doesn't really have any memories of what happened, only a vague sense. And everything's really blurry. She's been stripped of most of her armor and weapons, so it's time to go about getting them all back. As she goes through this place, she begins absorbing strange enemy from the central units, and using that energy to create the Omega Blaster, which she then uses to destroy the Emmy. She then absorbs absorbs the Emmys, which is really strange, gets more and more potent as the game goes on. Her hands starting to glow, grab energy from stuff. And, it's very strange. What are the Chozo doing here? Midway through the game, we find an elderly Chozo named the Quiet One, and he reveals that he's part of the Thoha tribe, who I believe are the ones who originally adopted Samus and injected them with their DNA. It's how she's able to do the morph ball thing. Don't question that. Trust me, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I know. How does bird DNA let you curl up into a ball? No one knows. Just run with it, okay? Anyway, they were apparently one of the architects behind the Metroids, along with another tribe called the Mawkin. Now, the Mawkin were the big old warriors who helped them, contain the X. The Thoha tribe were the ones who designed the Metroid, but after they were, managed to contain it, and, when the Metroid were all shipped out, the Mawkins turned on the Thoha because their DNA was able to slightly control the Metroids and the X, I think. And they were all killed by the Mawkins, except for one, the Quiet One, who was left around so he could control the Metroids and the X. And, he wants you to stop it. He tries, but he, manages to make things easier for a little while, but then he's killed. And the X is unleashed. Everything's going to hell. The X absorbs him and turns the base against you, activating all the defenses he had turned off. You have to try and get up there to the Mawkin leader, who reveals that he's one of the Chozo who donate DNA to you, so he calls you his daughter because he helped, create you or whatever. And he reveals that he's been actually leading you on this whole way. See, you apparently brought your AI from the ship, Adam. But it turns out all the terminals you've been activating were actually him disguising his voice as Adam, luring you along the whole way. You realize it when you reach his final chamber and fight him. Despite doing a lot of damage, eventually he grabs you and is starting to kill you, slowly choking you out, taunting you. And it's revealed this whole thing was to try and give you Metroid powers, allow you to suck the life out of things with your hand. But he doesn't need you anymore because he has a cloning facility, and your dead body is worth a lot more to him. So that's his plan. Clone an army of Samus Aran and use them to take over the universe. Good plan. All your people are now X-Parasite hosts. So good luck with that. But, I guess if he has an army of Metroids, he can, deal with that. Samus, destroyed the X on an entire space station all on her own. I guess an army could do it. But unfortunately, by taunting her and telling her about how, he killed the tribe who helped raise her, he kinda sets off her powers in, Super Saiyan mode. Her, armor turns into this giant, organic Metroid armor, and she kills him, absorbs all the power from the base, and inadvertently sets off the planet's self-destruct mechanism. Oh, Metroid, we missed you. For those of you who don't know, it's tradition that at the end of a Metroid game, there's a timer, and the planet's about to explode, and you gotta race your way out. So, yeah. You race your way out, you get there. Apparently, the Quiet One manages to take back control of the X from the X-Parasite, or some remnant of him is there, because you can't activate your ship, because if you touch your controls, you're going to suck all the energy out of it, because you don't have control over your powers. But he gives you, the X-Parasite with his DNA comes to you, offers itself, you absorb it, and then you get control over your powers, so you jet off just as the planet explodes behind you. Roll credits, that's a Metroid game for you. Like I said, it's a very interesting game. I'm still not sure why Kraid is there. Haven't we killed him 5 times? It feels like he's in every Metroid game, and I don't know why. I'm not a Metroid super fan. I like the gameplay, but I've never been deep into the lore, so I'm not sure why Kraid keeps coming back up. I think he was cloned, because I think that was supposed to be our hint that the Malkin leader was able to clone stuff, is that Kraid was there. But he's in every Metroid game, isn't he? It feels like he's in every Metroid game. I don't know. It's weird. But, yeah. All in all, I think the plot's pretty interesting. It does raise some timeline questions for me. I thought the Chozo who created this Metroid did it on a different planet, so why were they... I'll have to work on the timeline on my own. It might work, it might not. I don't know. For all I know, this is a soft reboot, and Metroid fans are screaming at me right now. I apologize, I'm not a hardcore lore fan when it comes to Metroid. But yeah. I really enjoyed Metroid Prime. I mean, not Metroid Prime. Metroid Dread. And it's making me very, very much so look forward to the Metroid Prime 4. I know all that we have right now is a logo, because Nintendo desires to hold all the good Metroid stuff as far away from us as possible and taunt us with it. But I'm really hoping the next Metroid Prime game comes out soon, because I'm going to be dying for some normal Metroid. I'm probably going to at least replay this if I have some time. I would very much recommend it for anyone who enjoys exploration games, anyone who enjoys, Metroid games in general. If you like other Metroid games, you're going to like this. Right now, I am also working on finishing up Hades. I beat the final boss, but you have to beat it multiple times in order to get the full lore, so I'm doing that right now. So on Tuesday, you can expect to see a review for the My Hero Academia movie. I'm going to go see that tomorrow, record my review, and, it'll come out on Tuesday. Look forward to that. Next Thursday, we will be going to see Eternal, so you're going to get 2 movies in a row, anime, and then Marvel. Sounds fun. Can't wait to see you guys there. And, yeah, that should be it. See you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and thank you for listening to the Dragon's Library. Please, subscribe to this podcast to be notified of new episodes. The Dragon's Library releases new episodes Tuesday and Friday each week, and you can follow us on Twitter at dragon_library2. If you want to suggest an episode topic, my email is in the description below. And as always, thank you so much for all your support.